This is a more serious video than I normally make because it's a much more serious topic that I'm talking about. Much more serious than I usually talk about. I wanted to talk about a few things, but with a focus around depression, but not in the traditional sense that people view it or the medical sense, the clinical term depression. What I'm referring to is the state of mind that one devolves into after they've become an addict to their own emotions, to their own sad, depressed emotions. And there's an argument to be made that depression is, it is an addiction to negative emotions. But I'm not here to go into the specifics of whether or not that is what it is or anything. The message of this video is that it is a real thing, and it gives a whole new perspective to the lives of people who are experiencing this addiction. I've struggled with anxiety and other, mental issues, whatever you want to call them, most of my life. But when I got into high school at around 14 years old, it really turned into something else. I was very depressed. I was experiencing extreme depressive emotions throughout my entire high school experience and carrying onward for years after, even up until, on and off in recent years. But something that I developed in that process of being in such a dark place where I felt like I had no one and that I was no one, something I developed was this addiction to the way that those feelings made me feel. And it sounds made up. It sounds like it's too much feeling going on. How can a feeling make you feel something? How can an emotional state make you feel another emotional state, especially one that's so paradoxical? How can something that, negative emotions and depression and loneliness and isolation and all of those things, how can that culminate into a sense of peace or a sense of comfort? It doesn't make a lot of sense, and I've never really tried to make sense of it, but that's what I experienced, and that's what a lot of people experience too. It's this addiction to these strong emotions. Growing up, I never got to use or express my emotions. I was much more think logically, see things as they are kind of person. I didn't read between the lines, and I never learned to express the way I was feeling. It wasn't really something that was common in my family, and I just never learned. And so when you get to an emotional state like a hormone-driven 14-year-old would be in, and outside perspectives, outside factors start to trickle in. At some point, I developed this sense of apathy, this lack of feeling. I think I've heard it referred to as anhedonia, where you don't really feel or enjoy anything. But more specifically, you don't really feel many emotions at all. And when I was in that state where emotions were so far and few between, anytime an emotion did come through, good or bad, I latched onto it. And I would do whatever I could to feel those emotions, feel those things that I hadn't felt in so long. Over time, it became more and more difficult and tedious to feel those emotions as the color continued to drain from my world and from the way that I was perceiving my life, until eventually I didn't find myself feeling hardly anything at all. And things like my family or my friends, the few friends that I had, nothing really did it for me. Nothing. I still didn't care, and I still didn't feel anything. And it was at this point when I really reached, my lowest point, because it was at this point that I learned that it's a lot easier to feel sad than it is to feel happy. That the natural state of life, the natural state of a lot of things, is to be unhappy. Life is misery. You can look at philosophy, or you can just take an objective look at the world. And there is plenty of good, but there's also a whole lot of bad. And without intervention, it turns to bad before it turns to good. And I came to this realization. Maybe it was conscious, maybe it was subconscious. I don't really remember. But I came to this realization, and I gave up. I allowed myself to fall further than I'd ever fallen before. And I often encouraged it, because as I would scroll my phone, scroll social media and look at everyone else hanging out without me, or as I would walk through the hallways and not speak to a soul all day, or when I would come home to parents who didn't seem to understand me, and who judged me for being myself. It all just came crashing down on me. And I found that if I dug deep enough into that pain, into that misery, then I would feel something so strong that it was like a drug. I was listening to sad music 24/7. My top artists were the usual culprits. Signed Crush's Motorist and stuff that no one should really listen to. It's not healthy. It doesn't make you think of good thoughts. And I turned to the internet. I turned to, to hopefully find solace in other people and see if other people were experiencing what I was experiencing. And they were. And, it was validating, but at the same time, it was extremely detrimental. Because every time I would watch a video, every time I would read a sad story, or I would hear about someone losing their life or taking their own life, God forbid, I would feel something. I would feel my humanity. I would feel this sharp, intense pain. And it was like in those moments when the world was so gray, even this splash of red, this dark, evil red, I was just happy to see color. And I became consumed by it. Entirely consumed by it my entire life. I don't think that I'm fully healed or recovered from that experience. I don't know that I ever will be, but I am in the process. I'm trying to get better, and that's enough. The reason that I wanted to make this video, despite it going against kind of the theme of this channel so far, was to put out a message that you're not alone, and it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel nothing. But you can't live like that. You might not want to get better. You might not think it's possible. Or maybe you're trying. Wherever you are, just know that you can do anything. You can achieve anything, even if it's a state of mind. Even if you think that your brain is permanently fried. If you think that there's no help for you, that there's no hope for you, I promise you there is. There are still days today, more often than I'd like to admit, that I feel like there's no hope for me. But I can't let that keep me down. I don't care if it doesn't make sense to live. I don't care if it hurts. I have to. I need to. It's for me. It's for those around me. It's for the world. You're not selfish for feeling the way you do. If you're in that state, or if you've ever been there, or if you've never been there, be careful of what you watch. Be careful of what you consume, what you put your mind to. You are your thoughts, but more than that, your thoughts don't come from nowhere. Your brain is trying its best to process information that it's received from a multitude of sources. Some of it's real, but a lot of it's not. If you're alone, or if you've lost somebody, or if you think that you're unattractive or unlovable or anything like that, I know how it feels, and it is very, very real. But it doesn't consume you on its own. If it was a fair fight, you win that. If it was a fair fight, you come out of that on top 10 times out of 10, I promise you. It's not a fair fight, though. Social media, it's cliche to say, but it's not just about seeing people's stories. It's about the music that you listen to, the movies that you watch, the emotions that you search for, the things that make you feel alive. Those strong emotions, those videos that, for a moment you feel like you might cry. And you're just hoping that maybe this is the one. Maybe you can cry if you watch enough of these videos. Maybe you'll feel something if you watch enough of these videos. That makes it not a fair fight. I think you want to win. Even if you say you don't, I think you do. Deep down. You might not know why. Hell, I don't know why. I have no idea why I want to win. But all I know is that that's me. I know that's me in there. And I know it's not me. The voice telling me to give up, the voice telling me that I'm not enough, anything that brings me down, I know that's not me. So if you're out there struggling, just know you win that. You win that all day, my brother. All day, every day. So keep fighting. Keep pushing. Anyways, I just felt like that's something that it's something that I should share. I don't think I'll make too many videos this style like this, but I think that's something that's important to, if I can help in any way, if I could do anything, even if this video reaches 3 people, it's worth it to me. Also, if anybody is watching this, there's the rest of the channel isn't really like this. You're more than welcome to check it out. You might enjoy some of it. I don't even know how to explain it, but figured I'd just put a little disclaimer out there. This is the first video like this that I've made. So anyways, that's all I've got to say. So stay safe out there.